That gut-wrenching feeling when something feels wrong. You can't quite put your finger on it, but deep down, something's screaming that things aren't right. That's exactly how I felt when my wife announced she needed a break. We'd been married for 6 years, and things seemed okay, or so I thought. No big arguments, no shouting matches, just the usual ups and downs of married life. Then one evening during dinner, she set her fork down and said, "I think we need some time apart." Just like that. No prelude, no hints like she was mentioning we were low on groceries. I stared, dumbfounded. A break. In a marriage, that's not how it works, so I pressed her for answers. She launched into a speech about needing space, about finding herself, about not knowing what she wanted anymore. I'm not naive. When someone says they need space, they're usually halfway out the door, so I asked if there was another man. She got defensive fast, accused me of being paranoid, said I was twisting a serious moment into something ugly. That's when my stomach sank. Then she dropped the real bombshell. She wanted to stay in our house during this break. Said she wasn't ready to fully split yet. She still wanted access to our shared bank account, to drive the car I'd paid for, to sleep in our bed. That's when it clicked. This wasn't just a phase. She was scheming. I didn't argue or push back. I just nodded, said I got it. She seemed relieved, like she thought I'd just cave. But the next morning, while she sipped her coffee and scrolled her phone like everything was normal, I made a call. I hired a private investigator, and what he uncovered, she wasn't just cheating, she was plotting to take everything. I didn't jump to hiring a pie immediately. That would have been rash, right? Normal people don't do that without solid proof. At first, I convinced myself I was overthinking. Maybe she was genuinely confused about our marriage. Maybe I was just being suspicious. But then small clues started stacking up. First, I noticed she stopped wearing her wedding ring. Not in an obvious, "I'm done" way, just subtle, like she'd forgotten, but she never forgot. She was the type to panic if she forgot her necklace. When I asked, she brushed it off, saying she wasn't in the mood to wear it. Strange, but not damning. Then one night I walked in while she was on her phone and she flinched like I'd caught her stealing. Screen flipped down, posture stiff, eyes wide. I played it cool, asked who she was texting. She gave a forced chuckle and said, "Just a friend." But I noticed she was messaging, not talking. And if it was just a friend, why shut her phone off the second I appeared? Again, odd, but not proof. The real alarm bell, money started vanishing. I checked our joint account and saw small withdrawals, $100 here, $300 there. Not huge, but noticeable. When I asked her, she acted shocked, said she must have overspent, promised to be careful. But she wasn't. A week later, another $600 was gone. I dug into our credit card statements and found charges at restaurants I'd never visited, bars I didn't know, even a hotel an hour away. That one hit like a punch. I sat there, staring at the statement, my gut churning. I wanted to believe there was an explanation, maybe a girl's night out, maybe a work thing, or maybe she was exactly who I feared she was. That's when I admitted it to myself. This wasn't about a break. She was planning her exit, and if I didn't act fast, I'd be left with nothing while she walked away with it all. So the next morning, while she was in the shower, I stepped outside and called a guy my friend recommended. A private investigator, former cop, the kind who'd seen every trick in the book. I laid out everything. He didn't judge, didn't call me crazy, just said, "Sounds bad, I'll dig into it." 3 days later, he had answers, and they were worse than I'd feared. She wasn't just cheating, she was funneling money into a hidden account. The pie tailed her for 2 days. She met some guy at an upscale restaurant, the same place tied to one of those mystery charges. He was older, polished, dripping with wealth. The pie got photos. Them laughing over wine, leaning close, hands brushing across the table. The next day, she hit a bank and moved money from our joint account to one in her name only. She wasn't just having an affair, she was financially cutting me out before even mentioning divorce. And the final blow? The pie got audio from her dinner with Mr. Moneybags. In it, she spelled out her plan. She told him she was biding her time before leaving, siphoning cash slowly to avoid a messy divorce, making sure she had enough stashed before bolting. She was robbing me blind while smiling to my face. I sat there listening to her voice, feeling like a fool. 6 years. 6 years, and this was how she saw me, a stepping stone to her next life. But she didn't know I was already ahead of her. I didn't lose my temper, didn't confront her. Instead, I got smart. I called a lawyer. And together we set a trap she'd never see coming. Playing dumb was the toughest part. Every time she came home late, claiming she'd been with friends, I had to act like I bought it. Every time she pulled money from our account, I had to pretend I didn't notice. But I wasn't idle. I was building my case. After learning about her secret account and the divorce lawyer she'd hired, I knew she was planning more than just leaving. She wanted it all: the house, our savings, maybe even alimony. She was setting me up to look like the villain so she could walk away with everything. So instead of blowing up, I got strategic. First, I quietly secured my finances. I opened a new account in my name and rerouted my paychecks there. I didn't drain our joint account that would have tipped her off. Instead, I let her keep taking money, knowing every move was leaving a trail. Then, I protected my business. My lawyer reviewed everything: my assets, accounts, even my company's ownership, to ensure she couldn't touch it. The best part: since she'd never worked for my business or contributed to it, she had no claim to it. Next, I gathered evidence, but smartly. No cloak and dagger nonsense, just careful observation. I flagged every suspicious withdrawal in our bank statements. I checked her call logs on our shared phone plan, noting repeated calls to her lawyer and an unfamiliar number, her boyfriend. I watched her habits: how she'd leave the room for calls, how she got cagey with her laptop, how she dodged long-term plans with me. Then I found the smoking gun. One night she left her laptop open while showering. I don't usually snoop, but I had to know. And what I found was worse than I'd imagined. Emails between her and her lawyer revealed her plan. She was painting herself as a neglected wife, claiming she felt trapped in a loveless marriage, calling me emotionally distant. She even hinted I might have anger issues, saying she needed to protect herself if things got ugly. I stared at the screen, my stomach dropping. This wasn't just about money. She was setting me up as a bad husband, maybe even an abuser, to strengthen her divorce case. If I'd confronted her then, it would have been my word against hers. So I stayed silent. I let her make the first move. A week later, she did. She came home one evening, papers in hand, looking smug. Said she'd decided on a divorce and hoped we could keep it amicable. Amicable, after months of lying, cheating, and plotting. I nodded, said I wanted things to go smoothly. She had no clue I was already ahead. The next morning, before she could file, my lawyer struck. We hit her with everything: a forensic audit of our finances, proving she'd been siphoning money into a secret account while living in our house for free. Evidence of her affair, not from some shady recording, but through her own paper trail. Texts, restaurant bookings, hotel receipts in her name. Screenshots of her emails with her lawyer, coaching herself to portray me as neglectful. Legal filings crushed her alimony claims, citing her financial misconduct and calculated manipulation. She thought she'd cornered me. Instead, she was the one trapped. Her reaction was epic. She stormed in that afternoon, waving the papers, screaming, "What is this? You went behind my back." I stayed calm, shrugged, and said, "I thought we were keeping it amicable." That set her off. She yelled, blamed me, claimed I'd driven her to it, even said the affair wasn't serious, just talking to figure herself out. I let her rant, let her bury herself. Here's the best part: her own lawyer bylaid. Once they saw my evidence, they dropped her, unwilling to touch a case built on fabricated abuse claims. Her next move? Begging. She tried apologies, tears, even the "we had good memories" card. Said she'd made mistakes, but we could fix things. I told her she was right about the mistakes, and now she had to live with them. She got nothing. The court froze her secret account, forcing her to return every penny she'd taken. No alimony, no claim to my business, no leverage. She moved in with her parents, humiliated. I kept the house, my finances, my peace, and I never looked back. 3 months after the divorce, I got a message I didn't expect. Not from her ex-boyfriend, the guy she'd cheated with. I thought it was a prank. Why would he contact me? But I read on. "Hey, I know you don't owe me anything, but you should know what's up with her." Curiosity won. I kept reading. Apparently her life had spiraled fast. She'd burned through what little money she had. Tried dating another wealthy guy, but he ditched her when he learned her history. Then she tried crawling back to her affair partner, Ryan. That's when it got juicy. Ryan didn't know she'd been draining our accounts during the divorce. She'd sold herself as independent, charming, self-sufficient. But post-divorce, with nothing left, she started demanding money, gifts, security, same playbook she used on me. Ryan caught on and kicked her out. Not just a breakup, an eviction. She had nowhere to go, and the kicker? She was suing him for financial support, just like she'd planned with me. She was running the same con, but this time it was failing. She'd overplayed her hand. I didn't reply to Ryan. What was there to say? Good luck, you fell for her too? He could handle his own mess. A week later, a call came from an unknown number. I answered. Silence, then a small voice. "Hey, it's me." Her. I leaned back, waiting. I wanted to talk," she said, her voice fragile, broken. I stayed quiet. She exhaled shakily. "I messed up." I finally spoke. Yeah, you did. I don't know what to do, she said, hesitating. I let the words hang there. The woman who'd spent months scheming to ruin me, who'd laughed with her lawyer about taking everything, who'd tried to paint me as the villain, was now alone, broke, in some rundown place, asking me for answers. I almost felt bad, almost. Instead, I said the last words I'd ever say to her, "Sort it out." Then I hung up. She never called again.